Hey everybody, it's your girl Neil. How are you doing today? Thank you so much for hanging out with me in the tiny studio. We are going to be switching gears. We're not talking about dress today. We're not talking about crochet today. And we're not talking about my love of Coach or vintage Coach handbags today. We are going to be switching gears and talking about something else. And this is tied into my love of jewelry making and being a jewelry designer. As a jewelry designer, I work with semi-precious gemstones. More accurately or more precisely, I work with crystals. And this is a quartz crystal that I'm wearing at this time, a pendant. And I just love crystals. Now, I had a question or email from a tiny studio guest, and she asked me, why do I wear crystals? Now, the reason why I wear crystals is because crystals are a support system for me. They are part of my everyday routine. Crystals, I wear crystals for healing. I wear crystals for part of my spirituality, part of my worship, my daily worship. I wear crystals because crystals ground me. Crystals give me that added boost that I need. Crystals remind me to be kind, compassionate, sensitive, loving, and peaceful. Crystals aid me into making sure or ensuring that my language is always pure, kind, loving, supportive, wise. Crystals do those things for me, and those who wear crystals feel the crystal energy and feel the need and are constantly aware that by ourselves we fall short. But with crystals in our world, crystals help us to or uplift us and bring all kinds of energy that we need as human beings to be our best selves and to live our best lives every single day. And that's why I wear crystals, and that's why I incorporate crystals into my jewelry designs. We can all stand to have a boost of positivity in our lives and a little bit of healing, right? And that is why I wear crystals. I wear crystals every day also as a protection. And my crystal quartz is a source of protection against negativity and against all kinds of evil that are lurking in this part of the universe. So I keep a crystal on at all times. Right now I am wearing a crystal quartz crystal, and then on my wrist I have one of my bracelets on. You can see that. And my bracelet consists of other protective stones like tourmaline, lapis. I think this is onyx, obsidian. I keep crystals on all the time because, as you know, there are things that happen in this world as we, travel about it, and there's nothing wrong with having a great team behind you, and crystals play a great supporting role in the world of nail. Now, if you are, let's say, would like to learn a little bit more about crystals, I have a series about crystals right now on iHeartRadio, and you can find it at the Spiritual Musings of a Brown Girl, and I can be found on iHeartRadio. I can be found on Apple, and wherever it is that you stream, Spotify, wherever it is that you stream your favorite podcast, you can find me there, the Spiritual Musings of a Brown Girl. And this season I talk all about crystals and how you can incorporate crystals into your life. If you would like for me to discuss some of that here in the Tiny Studio on YouTube, I can do that for you if you would like. And as a matter of fact, I'm really thinking about doing that because I want to be as authentic and as transparent about who I am as possible with you, because we have a connection. We don't just talk about, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, because at the end of the day, what we're really striving to do is to be our best human selves, our best spiritual selves having a human existence, right? Right. So this video is going to be a little bit about crystals, but it's really going to be about, I guess, an incorporation about dreads, why I started wearing dreads, and how dreadlocks and my crystals are part of my spiritual walk here in the universe. I think that I have a short where I talk about my decision to wear dreadlocks and how that kind of conflicted with the religion that I was a part of at the time, which is I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I was born into being a Jehovah's Witness, and there are 3 generations of Jehovah's Witnesses in my family. So being a Jehovah's Witness is all that I knew. And when I decided to explore other things and really get outside of religiosity, I had really an epiphany. It was like a serious wake-up call about it. And I started growing and maturing as an African-American woman. I call myself a mixed woman because I am of African, I am of Chinese, and I am of indigenous peoples descent. So having African, Chinese, and Native American all within this personage right here that you see, Nail, each of those cultures have a strong sense of spiritual awareness, and that was something within me that I couldn't turn off. I was constantly feeling it as a child, and then as I became an adult, I was just really feeling it. It was really a strong thing within me, but religiosity chokes it out, because when you are a Christian, Christianity says that the culture or traditional spiritualities of, let's say, the African, Chinese, and Native American, Christianity says that those spiritualities are, the spiritualities of people who are not aware, or spiritualities or religions or practices of people who they consider to be, subhuman, not human, savages, all of those things. And that is not the case. In fact, there's many aspects of Christianity that comes from Africa, from the African. And in my opinion, Christianity is a stolen religion. Christianity, again, is a stolen religion because there are aspects of Christianity that goes all the way back to African spirituality. If you don't know, look it up. If you don't know, always do your research and look it up. So when I decided to wear dreads, which in my spiritual awakening away from religiosity, I just knew that in my dreams, the way you see me today is how I looked. As I began to break away from religiosity, in my dreams, I wore dreads. In my dreams, I looked like the person that's here in front of you. And I needed to match that. And the way I was scared, I was scared because I didn't know how people were going to react to it. And this was just like part one or phase one of being aligned with who I really was or who I am today. And when it became manifest, the dream nail became a reality. There were consequences. So a lot of people in my religion, they didn't understand why I was locking my hair, because at the time, locking or dreadlocks was not a style. Dreadlocks was part or seen as to be part of the Rastafarian belief system. So when people saw me with dreads and I am a Jehovah's Witness, that was an issue. And a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses had an issue with it. They really did. But I was really, really strong within me that I had to align what my dream said I was, what my inner self said that I was. I had to align the physical with the spiritual. And that's why I say that there is a difference between religion and spirituality. There's a huge difference. I do not support religiosity at all. Not for me personally, but I respect people who need religion in their lives. Me per se, I don't need religion in my life. I need spirituality in my life because I have my own compass. And remember, I was saying to you that phase one of me aligning myself, my physical self with my spiritual self, phase one was becoming the person that I saw. And the person that I saw was the person that you see today, person with dreads, with dreadlocks. Because my hair is the outside or the physical representation of the spiritual person that I am on the inside. And I felt that the religion that I was in did not allow me to be myself, which has always been my struggle, the struggle to be me, the struggle to be who I am. And I wonder if some of you feel that too. You know, feel that you're going through your life doing things the way your grandmother, your mother, your aunt, your great aunt. Are you going through life doing things because this was something that was taught to you? Or are you going through life being aware of who you are and what you want to do and knowing the trail that you want to blaze? Understanding what your purpose is. See, there's nothing wrong with being able or being able to incorporate the life lessons that your parents and your grandparents and your aunts and your uncles, there's nothing wrong with incorporating their life lessons into your walk. But your walk is always surrounded and grounded in your purpose. What is your purpose? And your purpose is unique. It's different from the purpose of your mother or the purpose of your father or the purpose of your grandparents or your great-grandparents or your great-great-great-grandparents. Your purpose is different. Everybody's purpose is unique to them. So when a purpose is uniquely designed for you, what you have to do is you have to follow your purpose. And following your purpose means you have to break away from the voices and the noise on the outside of that and move forward. And that is something that I had to do. And I had to reconcile the fact that even though I'm moving away from the life lessons that my family has incorporated or instilled in me, I have to know that and understand that it's okay. It's okay to be Nell. And either people like it or people don't like it. People will have to make, or family, friends, they will have to make that decision. And as parents, as a parent now, what I want for my 4 children to know and to understand is that mommy will love them regardless of the path that they may choose, because I know that each of my 4 children have a purpose and they have to walk that path of their purpose, because that is their journey. It is my job as their parent to instill in them certain life lessons that's going to propel them onto their purpose, that's going to help for them, guide them in developing a plan for their journey, for their purpose. But it is not my job as the parents to create a purpose for them and to force them onto a path that wasn't universally designed for them, which is the difference, which for me is the difference between religion and spirituality. Are you following me? That's the difference between religion and spirituality. Because how many times do you hear people say, well, you know, my mama was a Baptist, so I'm going to be a Baptist. My grandma was Catholic, so I'm a Catholic. You know, you hear those things. Religion is not supposed to be an inheritance. That's not what religion is supposed to be. Religion is not an inheritance. What you really supposed to be inheriting is spirituality. That is your inheritance, because we're all spiritual beings having a physical existence here on this planet named Earth. So that is that is what you are supposed to be passing on to your children. You pass on to them the intangible and not the tangible. Religion is tangible. Religion is rules and laws that are created to control you. And it's also made for people who do not have a spiritual connection with God. Religion says, and this is my opinion, religion says that you need it to be able to have a conversation with God. Religion says that you need it to understand and know how to live a fulfilling, successful life. Religion says you need its bylaws and rules so that you will be able to conform into what God wants you to be. Spirituality says, this is the difference. Spirituality says that you are born knowing how to worship. Spirituality says you are a child or product of the universe. You are a child and born of God, born of the universe. So you automatically have that connection with God, with spirituality, with being a spiritual being. You already have the tools within you to make that connection. You don't need religion to tell you things that you already know. And that's the difference between religion and spirituality. And that's why it took a lot for me to understand that and to break away from being a religious person. And let me be honest with you, as a Jehovah's Witness, I wasn't really I wasn't really the best Jehovah's Witness. I was a Jehovah's Witness that at periods in my life, I was really, really, really strong and active within it. But many times, there are many things within the Jehovah's Witness doctrine that I did not agree with. That I did not, I don't want to say understand, I just did not agree with. And when it comes to, for me, it came down to doctrine versus the Bible. The Bible can say this, but religiosity and doctrine says this. And there's no wiggle room between that. So I might read the Bible, and I might, and this is what I found, I would read the Bible, and I would read a scripture or a verse, and it would speak to me. And I would have my understanding of it, because what I didn't know then was that I know now is that I believe in spirituality. So I'm going to connect to things on a spiritual level, and my perception as a spiritual woman, a spiritual African, Chinese, and Native American woman, my perspective and my perception, intuition is going to read into a scripture the way I need it to read or relate to me. And so I would be intuitive and perceptive about a certain scripture, and then I would read the Watchtower or one of the Bible publications created by the Watchtower Bible Tract Society, and their opinion would be different. For me, it wasn't spiritual. The doctrines based on the Bible were not spiritual at all. So there was a war within myself. And I started feeling this way when I was a young person because, maybe around the age of 12, 13 years old, I had read basically all of the Jehovah's Witnesses material from back in 1879 all the way up until 1980, because I like to read. And so my dad, he was the person that was in charge of the library at our Kingdom Hall. So, I was the one that was writing, and it's probably still there to this day. I would write in the books, property of such and such and such a congregation. I would write that I wrote that in all the books. They're probably still there right now. Those same books that I write, property of such and such a Kingdom Hall, Detroit, Michigan, blah, 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 right? And so I would read, and I read all those books. And so as I was reading, as a young person, I would be like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, this is something. And then I would say, well, some of this stuff that was written back in the the earliest 20th century is a little different from what from what is perceived today in the publications of Jehovah's Witnesses. And at the time, 1978, 79, 80. But I also found some of the things that I read a little disturbing, because the way Jehovah's Witnesses view the world today wasn't the way they viewed it 100 years ago. There were a lot of Egyptology in the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses, a lot of numerology, a lot of astrology, and I read all of those things. And I was already a young person who was having, psychic encounters. I was already a young person who was into Egyptology, Egyptian archaeology. I was already really knowledgeable about that, because that was something I was passionate about. And Jehovah's Witnesses do not believe in numerology and astrology and all things that's centered around Egyptian spirituality, or what we know now is Kemetic spirituality, African spirituality. But a lot of stuff that Jehovah's Witnesses had back in the day, they were. And so I always wondered how it is that Christianity and different sects of Christianity could have African spirituality within them, but then they do not necessarily or wholly accept the spirituality of Black people in general. You know, I just didn't understand it. And you know, and that is, I think, right there at that time period in my young life, that's when I began to have this thing with religion is here and spirituality is here. Which one is the right one? Which one is best for me? And because I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, the thing of the matter is, you want to please your family. And you want to please your family and keep your family happy at all costs. So breaking out and saying to your parents or to your to people who are your friends within the Jehovah's Witness organization, breaking out to them saying that you kind of agree with the Egyptian spirituality concept from Jehovah's Witnesses from back in the day, you know, that can get you in trouble. Questioning Jehovah's Witnesses in general, that can most definitely get you in a world of trouble. You know, and is that how spirituality is supposed to be? No, it's not. Think about it. That's not what true spirituality is all about. If there's something that I question and that I have doubts about, does it make me a bad person? That's like we tell our children, there's no such thing as a dumb question. If you have a question, just ask so you can get the answer, right? That's what we want our children to do. We don't want our children to feel as if they can't come to us and ask us a question because we're going to say, oh, something is wrong with you. Why would you ask such a question? No. And that's how I felt about being a Jehovah's Witness. I felt that any doubts that I had, any type of intuition that I may have had about certain scriptures, the meaning of certain scriptures, the meaning of certain doctrines, any doubts I may have had about those doctrines and those scriptures and those publications like the Watchtower or the Way or whatever study book that we were going through, I felt that I could not ask those questions. I felt like I could not be vocal about it. I felt that if I was, and this is how the religion is set up, if you have doubts, if you are that person, then they will label you as weak. Then they will label you as, they will mark you. Say, oh, we can't hang out with her. We can't hang out with that sister anymore because she has issues, you know? Excuse me for a second. And I'm sorry about that. And that's how Jehovah's Witnesses are. And I know that there are other religions that are like that as well. You know, where if you have questions about something, you know, oh, something's wrong with you. I mean, like, what's wrong with questions? Do you have the answer or do you have the answer or do you not have the answer? That's all I want to know. I have questions, you know? And so as I begin to mature, I begin to realize that maybe me being a spiritual person trumped being a religious person. How about we talk some more about this in another video? Because I see I'm climbing up a little bit to the half-hour mark. But this is something that I want to be able to express to you here in the tiny studio. As a young person, I saw myself like this. I saw myself with dreads. I saw myself looking like this. Probably not with all the white. But I saw myself being this person. Excuse me. And in order to be this person, I had to get rid of something. So it was easy for me to shed religiosity. And it was really easy to embrace spirituality because that's where I already was. I was already in the zone of being a spiritual person. I mean, there's no way that you can really get into loving everything about Egyptology or the study or Kemetic studies without being a spiritual person and understanding what spirituality is. And I think a lot of people today, I think they are afraid to be a spiritual person as opposed to being a religious person, because religion has a tangible way of checks and balances, but it's dysfunctional. Spirituality's checks and balances is universal, meaning there's a yin and there's a yang. What goes up must come down. If you trip and fall, you get back up. There's no gray areas, there's no outside rules. There's no part 1, part 2, no A, B, and C to it. No, this is how the universe is set up. But religion is not set up that way. Religion, has rules and regulations and consequences, and what goes up, it may come down, but it might sit here for a little bit in the middle. It may come down, but it might not get back up. That's how religion is. Religion is, kind of funky right in there. And I knew that being a religious person, that wasn't me. Not that I don't believe in having rules and guidelines and things of that matter, because I do. I mean, when I am out and about, I really believe everyone should stop at the red light. I believe everybody should stop at the stop sign. Yes, I do. However, I also believe that there are red light, green light, caution lights built inside of us. And that is our spiritual parameter. That is our spiritual compass. And I believe that more of us should become aware of that spiritual compass that we have inside of us, that spiritual direction zone, that spiritual map, that conscience. We all have it. But we allow religion to dull it, to dumb it down, to silence it, to mute it. We do. Because I believe if more of us really listen to our spiritual antennas about a lot of things, the exit of religiosity, or as Baba Marley, the exit from Babylon would be greater than what it is today. I really believe that. And so crystals are a part of my spirituality and my spiritual walk. They're part of my spiritual support team. They keep me balanced. They heal me emotionally and spiritually. They protect me, from psychic entities and forces that would love to harm me and bring me down. Spirit crystals are part of my spiritual worship, my spirituality, my spiritual walk, my journey. All right then, so I'm going to sit here and finish drinking my tea. And I'm going to drink my tea, and I'm going to start crocheting in a little bit. And if this is something that you would like to, if you have any questions or comments, we can talk about it. down in the comment section, have this discussion. And if you would like for me to discuss more and get really into my time as a Jehovah's Witness, we could talk about that too. You know, let me know and we could talk about it. I try to be transparent, but my thing is I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I mean, if you are a devout Catholic or Baptist, Protestant, Methodist, you're sanctified, you're part of the Holiness Church, you're what's another? You're Scientologist, you're Adventist. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and I don't want to trample on them. I want to be as respectful as possible. So, you know, if you have questions, please drop down in the comment section and leave a question, and I'll try my best to answer them. But thank you so much for hanging out with Nell here in the Tiny Studio. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Simply Nell's here in Simply Nell's Tiny Studio. Bye-bye.